Members, the Assembly is back in session. We'll be moving to motions and resolutions that will be back on the concurrence file. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your procedural motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Joint Rule 62A, the file notice requirements to allow the Health Committee to meet and to hear AB 232, that's AB 232, Obernolte today, September 11th, upon call of the chair and a room to be determined.
Without objection, the request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Joint Rule 62A, the file notice requirements to allow the Human Services Committee to meet and to hear Senate Bill 548 de Leon today, September 11th, upon call of the chair and a room to be determined.
Without objection, that request is also granted.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we are back on the file. We'll be starting with file item number 15. This is concur AB 229 by Ms. Chang. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 229 by Assemblymember Chang and others, enaculating public employment.
Ms. Chang, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 229 empowers state employees to take advantage of the sharing economy services like ride sharing or home sharing while traveling on state business. AB 229 will also help save the state money, as these services are often cost-effective alternatives for lodging and ground travel needs. Ride sharing even provides a new opportunity to cut back on car emissions, as many of them have turned to carpooling options, helping remove cars from the road. Members, this bill is the same measure that passed this House unanimously. Senate amendments simply add a 3-year sunset date so the legislature can revisit this issue down the road. AB 229 has earned the support of the Internet Association, the Natural Resources Defense Council, the Bay Area Council, and Travelers United. I respectfully request your support in adopting the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Chang. Mr. Lowe, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. I also rise in support of Assembly Bill 229. This is a very sound bill that not only updates to code but also saves the state money, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Ms. Kim, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise in strong support of this bill, and I thank the author for bringing it forward. With lower cost and greater convenience associated with the sharing economy, this bill is a win-win for the state employees and for the state of California. In fact, there is so much winning, we'll get tired of winning. I urge your aye vote on this.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Mr. Wilk, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, too, rise in support of AB 229 and salute the author for this great bill. These are services that a lot of us use, and I really like it. And we all need to support this bill.
Seeing no further discussion on the item, Ms. Chang, you may close.
I can't beat that. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 54, noes 2. Senate amendments are concurred in. We've already re-referred item 16. We're at file item 17. That is AB 234. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 234 by Assemblymember Gordon, and Act relating to food.
Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 234 would authorize a community food producer or gleaner to sell or provide whole uncut fruit, vegetables, or unrefrigerated shell eggs directly to a permitted food facility. The Senate amendments clarify that gleaners are only required to register and keep records for 30 days when selling directly to the public. The amendments also address chaptering conflicts. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence in the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 51, noes 10. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are at file item number 18. That's AB 329. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 329 by Assemblymember Weber and others, and accolating the pupil instruction.
Dr. Weber, you may open.
Yes, good. Mr. Speaker and members, AB 329 is back on concurrence. This bill updates, strengthens, and integrates the existing statutes relating to HIV prevention and comprehensive sex health education. They're providing clearer guidance to school districts and better support to both teachers and students. This bill does not in any way change the parental notification and consent requirements. It is back here on concurrence with a few minor changes. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 46, noes 18. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are going to move back in the file to file item number 11. File item 11, AB 47. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 47 by Assemblymember McCarty and others, and accolating the preschool.
Mr. McCarty, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 47, the Preschool for All Act of 2015, is back for concurrence. The amendments in the Senate were clarifying, helped cut costs, and delay implementation by 1 year. In sum, this bill will help ensure that all kids in California have access to a quality early education, regardless of their family's income. We know that vast research shows the importance of early education, helping improve academic success, helping prevent crime, and also helping fight poverty. I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Mr. Rendon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the author for bringing this bill forward, as well as for his decades and decades full of commitment to early childhood education. Research after research, research study after research study has shown the positive impact that early childhood education has on youth, particularly youth in poverty. This bill, AB 47, helps to recommit the state to early childhood education. We have restored about $500 million to early childhood education over the past 3 years. That pales in comparison to the $1.3 billion that we eliminated. AB 147 helps to put us back on the road toward an effective early childhood education system in the state of California. I ask for your aye vote on AB 47.
Thank you, Mr. Rendon. Mr. Chavez, you are recognized.
I'd also like to stand up and support this. I did in committee, but I'd like to restate it again. No, members, as we look in the future, education has generally, in the past, has been decided on K through 12 and then higher ed. But as we look in the future, education, especially early cognitive development, preparing children for a more challenging society, especially when you look at children in poverty, we need to make sure that all children, when they go to school, are ready to learn and be competitive. It's extremely important that we start expanding the discussion of early cognitive development. That's why I strongly support this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Seeing no additional discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 62, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, back in file order. We are at file number 19. Number 19, members, this is AB 339. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 339 by Assemblymember Gordon and others, enacting the health care coverage.
Mr. Gordon,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 339 is designed to ensure consumer access to vital medications. This bill builds on existing federal law and guidance, existing state law and guidance, and policy developed by Covered California with respect to prescription drugs. Important protections included in AB 339 are a cap on prescription drug copays and coinsurance of no more than $250 for most coverage and $500 for bronze under the Covered California. Also consistent with federal guidance, the bill requires that most or all drugs to treat a specific condition not be placed on the highest cost tier in order to avoid a discriminatory impact. Senate amendments added a January 1st, 2020 sunset on the cost-sharing caps and tier definitions. Recent amendments also limit the tier definitions to apply only to the individual and small group market, significantly narrowing this provision. I ask you to join me in supporting these important consumer protections, which will ensure that Californians are better able to afford their prescription drugs. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence in Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 44, noes 21. Senate amendments are concurred in. Staying with Mr. Gordon, file item 20. That's AB 379. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 379 by Assemblymember Gordon and relating to foster youth.
Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 379 would allow school-aged foster youth and homeless youth to use the uniform complaint procedure as a way to file complaints to a school district about not attaining their deserved educational rights. Senate amendments address chaptering conflicts. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 65, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 21 is AB 502. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 502 by Assemblymember Chow and relating to dental hygiene.
Mr. Chow, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 502 is back for concurrence. The Senate amendments clarify that registered dental hygienists in alternative practice are authorized to set up corporations under the Corporations Code. And also, it provides the Dental Hygiene Committee of California with greater regulatory and oversight authority to ensure consumer protection. The bill is sponsored by the California Dental Hygienists Association and supported by the Dental Hygiene Committee of California and also the California Dental Association. I respectfully ask for aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 22 is AB 521. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 521 by Assemblymember Nazarian and relating to HIV testing.
Mr. Nazarian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and fellow colleagues. AB 521 is back for concurrence with Senate amendments, and I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Nazarian. No discussion on the item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 47, noes 13. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 23 is AB 527. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 527 by Assemblymember Dodd and relating to alcoholic beverages.
Mr. Dodd, you may open.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, AB 527 is back for concurrence. This bill will allow a tied house exemption for manufacturers and distributors in Napa. It's a local bill. Amendments in the Senate make technical and clarifying changes. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close her roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are going to pass temporarily on file item number 24. We are at file item number 25, and that's AB 559. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 559 by Assemblymember Lopez, and accolade the monarch butterflies.
Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 559 has immigrated back to the Senate. Senate amendments give to the Department of Fish and Wildlife several options to conserve the monarch flight. All opposition has removed. Mr. Speaker, permission to use PAPs?
Without objection, Ms. Lopez.
Members, I would like to share the picture of one of the schools that do for me, and I want to share with all for the in support of the monarch butterfly. This is for Pacoima Elementary School in my district, and it's a beautiful supporting the monarch butterfly. And this one also for San Fernando Elementary. I have like around 300 students supporting the monarch butterfly. And I just respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Mr. Dodd.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I believe it was Papa Smurf that said, leave this place a better place. And that's exactly what this does. And so I hope I can get your vote on this bill.
Mr. Alejo.
Thank you very much, members. Since this was my colleague's first bill, and I raised my mic last time, I wasn't able to ask my question. And since she had a huge fight just to get to Sacramento, I wanted to ask her, with this bill on butterflies, do you think you're the Muhammad Ali of the legislature, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee?
Without objection, you may ask that question, Mr. Alejo.
Of course. And I'm planning to stay.
All right. Good answer.
Members. Ms. Baker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased with the discourse we've heard today. I think if you like it, I think you'd put a ring on it. And I'm very happy to hear that our good colleague plans on staying. Thank you. I urge an aye vote.
All debate having ceased on the item, Ms. Lopez, you may close if you wish.
Thank you, members. En viva la mariposa monarca. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 56, no 7. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we're at file item number 26, AB 666 by Mr. Stone. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 666 by Assemblymember Mark Stone, and accolade the juveniles.
Mr. Stone, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 666 is back for concurrence. Senate amendments narrowed the bill and to try and address some of the issues of the opposition and allow for records, sealed records, to be opened for disposition hearings and the like. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. Mr. Stone? Mr. Stone moves a call. We're at file item number 27, AB 672. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 672 by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer and Act relating to inmates.
Mr. Jones Sawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 672 is back on concurrence. The Senate amendments clarified the definition of an exonerated person. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
See no discussion on the item. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 64, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We referred file item 28 as well as 29. We're at file item number 30. That's AB 825. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 825 by Assemblymember Rendon and others, an act relating to the Public Utilities Commission.
Mr. Rendon, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 825 opens up the Public Utilities Commission to more transparency, protects the rights of those who challenge confidentiality, and provides detailed oversight through an inspector general. The Senate amendments fleshed out these concepts and created a new party conference to replace the ex parte meetings that you've heard so much about. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Rendon. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 64, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We already referred file item 31. We're at file item 32, AB 895. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 895 by Assemblymember Rendon, an act relating to public utilities.
Mr. Rendon, you may again open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And member, AB 895 ensures greater transparency at the California Public Utilities Commission and legislative oversight over ratepayer refunds resulting from the 2000 to 2002 energy crisis. The Senate amendments allow superior courts to enforce California's transparency laws, such as the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Law and the California Public Records Act. I respectfully ask for concurrence on Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Rendon. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're at file item number 33. That's AB 901. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 901 by Assemblymember Gordon and others, an act relating to solid waste.
Mr. Gordon, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. California has set a goal of achieving a recycling rate of 75% by 2020. Many actions will be needed to achieve that goal, but most importantly, it will be necessary to have accurate and timely data on waste disposal and recycling. AB 901 simplifies this process by requiring waste disposal facilities to report directly to CalRecycle. They would do so using the electronic data reporting system that is already in place. AB 901 also strengthens CalRecycling's fraud enforcement authority by allowing the imposition of civil penalties against those who falsely or fail to submit timely, complete, and accurate information. Senate amendments establish disclosure limitations for information that may be inspected by Cal Recycle and local governments. Senate amendments also clarify that certain aggregated information, which is submitted to the department by recycling operations, is public information, but it also clarifies that trade secrets shall remain confidential and shall not be made public. AB 901 continues to have bipartisan support and strong support from local governments and the solid waste industry. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on concurrence in the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Mr. Harper, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in favor of this improved bill. I believe that it helps level the playing field for those who work in solid waste, as well as promoting recycling within the state of California, and urge a yes vote.
Thank you, Mr. Harper. Mr. Daly, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to rise in support of this AB 901. As a county supervisor for 16 years, it's very important that you get the accurate information so that you can report to the to get the right tipping fees back for the landfill. So I encourage an aye vote on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Gordon, you may close if you wish.
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 65, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, I am prepared to lift the call on file item 26. That was AB 666. Clerk will post. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 42. Noes 28. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are at file item 34, AB 959. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 959 by Assembly Member David Chu and others, and accolating the data collection.
Mr. David Chu, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, AB 959 addresses health and social service disparities impacting LGBT communities through the collection of critical data. My office has worked closely with various impacted state departments to ensure the successful implementation of this legislation. Senate amendments were technical and clarifying in nature and reflect these efforts. Our diverse LGBT communities have been waiting for years for action by the state on this issue. It's high time we start counting our LGBT communities. I appreciate the bipartisan support in this bill, and with that, respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Pardon me. Thank you, Mr. Chu. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 56, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are going to take up Mr. Chu's other item on the concurrence file. We're going to jump to file item 43 without objection. That's AB 1347, file item 33. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1347 by Assembly Member David Chu and others, and accolating the public contracts.
Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. AB 1347 establishes a reasonable and fair process to resolve disputes between local agencies and contractors for unpaid work of public works projects. Senate amendments extend the timeframes for review and payments of claims, as well as makes additional exceptions. This bill received unanimous 40-0 bipartisan support in the Senate, and with that, I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Back in file order, members. File item 35. That's AB 1023 by Mr. Rendon. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1023 by Assembly Member Rendon, and accolating to the Public Utilities Commission.
Mr. Rendon, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1025 AB 1023, codifies the provisions of the California Public Utilities Commission's policy and includes communications that occur between high-level CPUC personnel, including commissioners, and expands their reporting to include quasi-legislative proceedings, advice letters, and scoping memos. The Senate amendments make minor technical and clarifying changes, including changes to address chaptering out conflicts. I respectfully ask for your concurrence in Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Rendon. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we're going to pass temporarily on file item 36. We are at file item 37, Assembly Bill 1207. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1207 by Assembly Member Lopez and others, and relating to child abuse reporting.
Ms. Lopez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1207 is back to concurrence, Senate amendments, and add a co-author, reduce costs. This bill be participant, and I respectfully ask you for your urgent vote. I vote.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're at file item number 38. That's AB 1251. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1251 by Assembly Member Gomez and others, and relating to open space lands.
Mr. Gomez, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, members, I'm presenting Assembly Bill 1251 for concurrence, which will help local governments develop greenways along urban waterways to connect communities and assist with urban greening. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 51, noes 13. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 39, AB 1261. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1261 by Assembly Member Burke and others, and relating to adult day health care.
Ms. Burke, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1261 provides some stability to our remaining providers in the community-based adult services program. The bill aligns state law with the Bridge to Reform waiver that currently governs adult day health care in California, complete with all of the necessary eligibility criteria and oversight. The amendments taken in the Senate remove the rate floor requirement for managed care plans and make technical changes to more closely align the bill with the existing waiver. The bill has broad bipartisan support, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tie the votes. Ayes 66, no 0. Measure passes. Yep. We're going to move to file item 39. No, file item 40, AB 1266. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1266 by Assembly Member Gonzalez, and relating to electrical and gas corporations.
Ms. Gonzalez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1266 is back for concurrence. The amendments taken in the Senate made clarification and technical modifications. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 All members vote who desire to vote.